Hello, friends, and welcome into Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey, subbing in for the sick Jack Sperry. He's not feeling very well today, so everyone wish him a get well for me in the comments. We have some overreactions coming out of the Steelers' disappointing and, dare I say, frustrating prime-time loss against the Miami Dolphins in Week 7. Pittsburgh falls to 2-5 on the season. There were a grand total of 0 points scored in the second half of what could also be described as a bit of a snooze fest for a primetime game. So it's Overreaction Monday time, and we know where most of the overreactions tend to focus on. It's the offense. So the first overreaction we've seen out there from the comment section, social media, other sports reporters, etc., is to fire Matt Canada. I'm going to stick where I've sat for the most part. That doesn't make sense grammatically, but I'm going to roll it anyway there. It's not really an overreaction. I am underwhelmed, and I continue to be underwhelmed by the Matt Canada offense. The offensive stats for this team are offensive, to be honest. They are tied for second to last in passing yards per attempt. They lead the NFL in passing interceptions. They have one play of 40-plus yards through the air. That is also tied for worst. The 3.7 yards per carry, which was better on Sunday Night Football, is bottom 5 in the NFL. And they have 0 20-plus yard runs because they have not been an explosive play at all. The lack of explosive plays from the Steelers offense is a major reason why they've struggled so far this year. And they've got too many playmakers and too much talent for that to be the case. So do you agree with me? Do you want a new offensive coordinator? Of course, more so for next year. But do you want to fire Matt Canada? If you do, like the video right now. Here's what Chase Claypool had to say. Now, Claypool's quotes can often be dicey, but I actually agree with what he said here. He said, quote, I feel like I've heard that every week, How close are we? I think it's too late in the season to be close to anything. I think if we're close, we have to get there next week. I think Claypool was right. This is Week 7 now. And your offense is still having the same issues they've had throughout the year. Some turnovers, lack of explosive plays, inconsistent ground game. In the NFL, what more and more defenses are trying to do to you is take away the explosive plays. They're playing too high shell coverage, taking away that big chunk, 50-yard bomb downfield. But there's too much talent on this Steelers team from a vertical threat ability and from an after-the-catch or run perspective to not have explosive plays. And they had a couple last night, 21-yarder to Pat Fryermuth, 30-yarder to George Pickens, a couple 16-yard runs, one by Pickett, one by Najee Harris. But Harris, Johnson, Claypool, Pickens, and Fryermuth is a good grouping of skill set in terms of wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. For Pickett to have 5.8 yards per attempt on 44 passes, your ground game have 23 carries for 95 yards, that doesn't feel right to me. It feels off. We'll go more on Pickett in a minute, but first the pinned comment on today's show. Rank the Steelers' offense this season. 1 to 32. It definitely ain't 1. It might be close to 32, though. Let me know in the comments at the pinned comment. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there. Let me know. Overreaction number 2. Pickett's a bust. He sucks. He's horrible. Overreaction. I think it's fair to be a bit disappointed so far out of the play of Kenny Pickett, your first-round pick at quarterback. I will also blame the coaching staff for their handling of Pickett, not giving him any real first-team reps, then benching Trubisky mid-game, basically hours after saying, we're not going to sit Trubisky. Then they did that, putting Pickett in a tough spot against good competition. He's been accurate. He's been a bit more explosive overall through the air, although Trubisky did play well in the one half. He had to sub in against the Bucs. The turnovers have been a problem. Not all those INTs are his fault, but way too many multiple INT games. Pickett is also a rookie. I think sometimes people get, a bit fooled by some quarterbacks looking so good early in their careers in year one, like, wow, this guy's a stud, like Justin Herbert, for example, although it's like the Chargers have had any playoff success either. I also see people go on the other end of the spectrum and go, well, Peyton Manning was terrible his first year, therefore Pickett's going to be a star. Somewhere in the middle, Manning wasn't great his first year, although these numbers at that time in the NFL were very different than the pass-happy success you find in the modern-day season. With that said, you need Pickett to be better. You need the play calling, the supporting cast around him Looking at you, offensive line, to be better. I also wonder if 23 rushes versus 44 passes in what was really a one-score game for the majority of that matchup is the route you want to go. So I'm not out on Pickett yet. He does need to play better, and the supporting cast around him needs to be better as well. Now, today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner. That is BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125. $100 down, get to a 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Steelers125. Pittsburgh, by the way, is a big underdog against the Eagles, which really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, unfortunately. Overreaction number 3. Jaylen Warren needs more snaps and more touches. Touches are always tricky to go by with your number 2 back, but I've been pretty impressed by him. In a very small role, I'm going to give it not an overreaction. He had 4 touches against the Dolphins, 2 carries for 7 yards, 2 receptions for 17 yards. He's offered some nice ability for you. Now, to be clear, this is not anti-Najee Harris propaganda. I remain a big fan of Harris. Thought he had a better game against the Dolphins, almost 4 yards per carry. The numbers are down for Najee, but Warren's been pretty impressive and more efficient, which does often happen with the opposing lead, or with the RB2 in general. When the backup comes in, teams aren't as focused in on that, and you'll typically see lower carry, higher efficiency outside of a few players in particular. But I've been impressed by Warren. I think Pittsburgh found a gem as a UDFA. So what do you think? Does Jaylen Warren deserve more snaps? Even if we bring down the snap count a little bit for Najee Harris, I think that will make him more efficient. It will allow him to be fresher and more effective and hopefully more explosive as well. That's the other reason why I like it. In general, you don't want 70, 80%. Bring that number down. Do 60-40. You don't have to cut in that much into Harris's touches. I think will result in a better ground game across the board. But what do you think? Y for yes, N for no. Overreaction number 4. The playoff hopes are done and over. I'm going to go slight overreaction, but only slight. I will never count on a Mike Tomlin coach team. He's proven time and time again they'll find a way to finish 500 or so. But the schedule is not easy this year for Pittsburgh. Let's be realistic here. They're probably going to lose Week 8 at Philadelphia. Eagles are coming off the bye. They got the rest. They're undefeated, etc. The next 4 games, though, for Pittsburgh, let's say they begin the year 2-6, right? We're very realistic there. They have got to win. I would argue almost all of those games. The schedule now gets easier for Pittsburgh. That's why I'm not ruling them out yet. Saints look bad. The Bengals are beatable this year, as Pittsburgh has already proven. The Colts are now going to play Sam Ehlinger the rest of the way. The Falcons are beatable. Ravens, Panthers, Raiders, Ravens, Browns. So a lot of AFC North matchups. You can win a bunch of those games. But by the time Week 13 comes and goes, you probably want to be at, if not 6 wins and go 4-1, you got to be at least 5 wins so you can end the year on another 4-1 stretch. That's not going to be easy. So I cannot count them out yet because of the way the schedule sets up down the stretch. But it's also not looking good. I think the Dolphins loss is the one that you really hurt, and the Jets loss. Those 2 games, a combined 2 losses by 8 points, I believe. That's what hurts. Gotta win those games. Patriots, I think, also. You've had a bunch of close games this year. The Bills and Browns are your exceptions. You've had 4, I'm going to look at my stats here, 4 one-score games, 2-2. Oh, sorry, 5 one-score games, 2-3. Got to finish a little bit better from that standpoint. Eagles is the tough one. Week 10, 11, 12, 13. Got to get hot if you are Pittsburgh. That is the end of today's show. We've made it to the end. Thank you, guys. You're a real one. Head down to the comment section. Type in "Here we go" in the comment section, and I'll make sure producer Jeremy shows you guys some love.